And hi, Steve Schappert, the Connecticut real estate broker, here talking with Suriani Hostetler. And we're doing the Connecticut business interviews for the Connecticut Business Network. Suriani, tell us a little bit about your business, starting with the name of the business and where you're located.
Hi, it's my pleasure to be here. My business is Sharpline Accounting Services, LLC.
Okay, and where you're located?
I'm located in Milford, Connecticut.
Okay. Awesome, and what made you choose that location?
Well, it's where I live, and I find it super convenient to have my home in the same location.
Okay, so do you work locally or nationally?
Right now, I'm focusing on primarily New Haven and Fairfield counties, but with the use of technology, I'm planning to expand my services to other localities, maybe growing nationally, and virtual bookkeeping services are actually easily provided by today's technology with online meetings and all. So yes, I'd like to grow further from there.
Yeah, I suppose that's the one lesson that we got out of this whole COVID thing is everybody is jumping onto the virtual meetings and figuring out how to do it very quickly. And I'm very hopeful that when the world is allowed to see each other, that I think the commerce may see a big jump. I think it's the simple psychology of sitting in the house alone for so long. Everyone wants to get out because every year people ask me, when's the real estate market really start to boom? And they're typically looking for like a week, a month, you know, what part of the year.
Right, yeah.
And I always look at them and I go, it has nothing to do with the month or the part of the year. It has to do with 65 to 70 degrees. That's when the market comes out, because
exactly. And the beauty of it is that we are already keeping the momentum going while sitting at home, staying safe, but we could still go on with our meetings and have the connection so that when we finally be able to do it face to face, the momentum is already there and we already well connected and have formed business alliances by that time.
Okay. So in your, do you try to help out in your community? Is there a way that you like interface and get to know your local people and help them out more?
Well, I've only recently gotten involved with many groups in my communities, from executive women's group to the local chamber of commerce to some other less formal networking groups. It has been very empowering actually to mix around and get to know different people and the diverse lifestyle that not only the businesses that they are passionate about, but how they have developed their lifestyle to be able to be empowered in their business, so on. I'm actually looking forward to being more immersed in my community as the year goes on, and hopefully to be of service.
Yeah, and it's the whole word community seems to be expanded by this whole virtual realm, because I'm thinking just the other night we were on Zoom, you were there, so we had a CPA, we had an attorney, we had a world acclaimed photographer, we had a biochemist from Seattle,
right.
You know, people of all walks of life. And I had to shut us all down a little after 1 o'clock because I think Catherine was falling asleep in the corner. But,
yeah, it was fun, definitely.
It was fun. It was unusual that you get so much diversity all in one place, and it doesn't usually happen in person. So can you describe your customers?
Well, let's see. I have had customers ranging from landscaping, electrical services, construction, health and wellness, advertising, marketing, also just solo entrepreneurs. Granted that I can help most small businesses looking for bookkeeping services and financial services, my target clients are primarily small businesses with like revenues ranging from 50,000 to 200,000, somewhere between 2 to 7 years in operation. The reason being that the small business that's gone through the startup, the initial phase of startup, are in a phase where their market presence is now growing, and they are realizing the pain points of keeping their businesses, the business bookkeeping and finances in order. So what used to take minimal time is now something that they're struggling with, not because of the complexity of it, but because of time. And my job is to take this growing pain away from them, so I'll be able to provide them with the clarity and the path towards revenue growth, so that they can focus on working on their business versus the back end of the bookkeeping and financial part of it.
I'm stunned. Actually, that's one of the best answers I've ever heard. You
Oh, thank you.
obviously understand your customer base very well and have a very clear idea of who you're going after, and that's going to make life so much easier for you growing your business.
It's actually from experience as well, because when you think about it, if let's say a typical small business, just starting a business, most people, I would say, I'm not saying all, most people would rather do it all themselves in view of their financial needs, affordability and whatnot. So when they get to the point where they can actually see their customers coming in, and that's probably happening maybe at least a year down the road, unless they're starting really good and they get inundated by clients. But until they get to the point where they're suddenly juggling a huge swamped with clients, they're not going to know what their pain points are. So once they get to that point, they're like, well, they can't do that bookkeeping and financial, or put their finances in order that well anymore. Not that they can't do it, they probably can't do it as well. And that's when they will look out for needed help.
Yeah, I would agree. I think probably the biggest issue that most small businesses run into is knowing when to let go. And
Exactly.
yeah, everybody thinks like, okay, day one, I have to do it all myself. It's a cash flow thing. But I used to explain, I used to build houses, and we had a very special program that allowed the home buyer to be the general contractor and to do a lot of the labor themselves. So they'd be able to save money by, doing the painting, or, little odds and hanging cabinets, whatever they thought that they could do. They might have a cousin or an uncle or a son or somebody that could do it. But I always sat them down and I said, you really need to understand the cost of money, because you're building this house, which means you're most likely more stable than the general public, because it usually costs more to build a new house than to buy an existing house. And if you can go to work and you can earn $120,000 a year going to work, and you might even have the opportunity to earn overtime on a weekend, you should probably do that, rather than thinking that you're saving $5,000 by painting the house, because it's going to take you 6 weeks to paint the house, and you're going to save roughly you're only worth $5 an hour. Because when I hired a brand new painter, I usually lost money off of them for the first week if they hadn't done it before. So yeah, people need to understand that it actually is a cost savings to hire the professional, that even though it may cost them more money per hour, that person that's trained to get in and get it done will get 3 times as much work done.
Exactly, and it's the expertise to do with that too. Somebody from starting his business and probably make a wiser decision to outsource their bookkeeping. Now, if let's say I come in, I'll be able to understand their business from the beginning and be able to see it grow and provide not only the task of bookkeeping and tax preparation and all that, but I can actually suggest different things that they can do so that they can grow their business, they can grow their finances, or look at it in a clearer way, understand what's going on, versus someone that I would jump in later on down the road where they are in overwhelm mode. Some of them are, not saying all, but some of them are already in overwhelm mode. And then it takes a little bit of time for me to untangle that and say, okay, hold on, where did this start? Try to get them clearer, like thinking clearer. And I've had that experience where somebody comes to me and they come from point in the middle point, and I had to unravel, like, okay, hold on, so when did it start, and what caused the tangle there, and let's look at that, let's go back and let's look at that and then fix that and then move forward. That's, you know, because before you can actually grow, you have to see where you're stuck, where your obstacles are.
Yeah, I agree. And it takes a professional like you just to, even less than a minute, like you look over at the books, you go, whoa, there's something wrong here. There's not adding up. Whereas somebody that's a contractor looking at their books, they're not going to pick up on it because it's just numbers. It looks, you know, just like a blank slate. So why do you think customers select you over your competitors?
Well, I would say I can talk their language. In other words, I'm not just another CPA offering bookkeeping, who can perform bookkeeping, produce reports, and do tax preparation. I make the extra effort to know what my clients' pain points are and what keeps them up at night, and most of all, what their longings and their desires for their business. So, for example, growing a business isn't just about getting bookkeeping done in time. It's mostly about understanding the financial side, and also the financial side and how that can translate into better business decisions. Now, I can't make the business decision for them, but I can steer them towards the focus and clarity that they need in order to make those decisions. So it's not just, having somebody perform their bookkeeping and taxes in time and they're done. It's getting beyond that and saying, well, this would really help me grow my business. It's like a larger, broader view of what benefit, the value added of robust financials can do for you.
I see that actually makes you pretty unique, because a lot of bookkeepers will simply offer bookkeeping and they'll go, and I know a CPA, and they'll hand it off. And a lot of CPAs will say, hey, you know what? I'm a CPA. I'm the glory person, and I'm just going to do the taxes. And, you know, I'm too intelligent to do your bookkeeping, so find somebody else for that low-level stuff. I think you provide a very valuable service, being able to do soup to nuts, so to speak, because you're able to pick up on things beforehand. So before I go on and on and on about why I think you're unique, is there anything that I'm missing? What do you think makes you unique?
Well, also my experience and skill as a CPA can be used in variable ways, where I can perform, it's basically like soup to nuts. I can perform basic bookkeeping to tax filing, to go all the way to more robust financial statement analysis, depending on the client's needs. Of course, some smaller businesses or someone who just starts up would want daily bookkeeping to get in time, like just to get things done in time. Until he gets to a certain level of growth. But maybe a business, maybe between 2 to 5 years, might have bigger needs where they want to see, okay, how can we expand? How can we add on another service? How does this do to our finances? Things like that. So I can provide all that and guide the business at what level, whatever spectrum they are in, and lend my value there.
Awesome. So before we get too far into your business, let's find out, how do we get a hold of you? Somebody wanted to contact you, how would they do it?
Good question. Right now, you can get hold of me at my email at Suriani, SURIANI, at sharplineacc.com. That's sharpline, one word, acc.com. And I can also be reached at my number 203-918-8875. I also have a Facebook business page that's recently been up. It's a Sharpline Accounting Services LLC. I'm listed in Google Business. And also I'm currently building a website that's soon to be launched, and also other online platforms. So that's coming up pretty soon. But I would say the most direct way to get in touch with me right now would be my email, suriani@sharplineecc.com, and also my number. Again, is 203-918-8875.
Fantastic. And this interview is being uploaded to the cloud in a couple of minutes. I'll send it over to you. I'll be uploading it, so anybody that wants to get a hold of Suriani can actually just leave a message, you know, post it right underneath the interview. So how'd you get the idea or the concept to start this business?
Well, basically, during the 15 years of me working in various small and large corporations, I've grown a longing for using my skills to serve small businesses on a scale that they most need, which is bookkeeping and tax preparation and filing. I like the simplicity of bookkeeping and how it can also, despite its simplicity, generate more than enough revenues to sustain a good living for me, all while also providing value for the client. So it's like a win-win situation. Like unlike the corporations I worked at, the financial needs of a small businesses are a lot simpler. It's less regimented and it's not controlled by outside entities. Like I've had jobs where I've had rigid reporting standards, rigid reporting deadlines to the Fed, or performing Sarbanes-Oxley tax testing required by the SEC when I worked at a public company, or other governmental and compliance audits, and so on and so on. I've done enough complexity and I want simplicity. I'm ready for simplicity while still providing great value to my clients.
Impressive. So you're hinting toward the next question. Let's find out about your background. Where did it all begin? Like, did you do accounting in high school? Like, where did this whole thing begin for you?
I had a master's degree in accounting, and actually that's primarily because my first degree, I didn't know what to major as undergraduate. So I took international business. And when I graduated from that, I found that it was a challenge to get an entry-level position when you don't have a functional business expertise like marketing, finance, economics, and so on. So I worked at a range of industries until I had an accounting position, an entry-level accounting position. And I liked the structure and being able to know the client's books and how it translates into financial statements. So I went back and got my graduate degree in accounting and took my CPA exam. And that's when it really started. So I did start my accounting professions a little bit later than some of my peers, but in essence, it actually gave me the maturity to know what I want going forward. So, and also my experience in accounting, the accounting industry have prepared for me to offer bookkeeping without any other accounting or training involved, because I'm already there. The only additional training I needed was the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certification from Intuit, which I did. And somewhere around the end of the year, I plan to take the Advanced Pro Advisor certification as well. So that's the only training that I was not able to gain while working in the previous employment.
Okay. And when did you get your CPA?
It was, I believe, was 2006.
2006. And I hear you kind of went in and aced it all at one time. Is that true or just a rumor?
Yeah, that was a time when I was very focused on just getting it done. And it was actually a pleasant surprise that at that time I had to, they had to have you pass 4 sections at once, which was really hard to do. And so I was focused on just passing 2 so that I can take the other 2. If you pass 1, you have to go back and take all 4. But if you pass 2, they'll take that too, and you have to come back to just pass the other two. So that was my main focus. And for 6 months, I had no life. I was just studying day and night. I was pleasantly surprised to see that I passed all four, because it was very grueling. But I'm glad I did it, because it paved the way for me from there on.
Well, it's pretty impressive because, I don't know, my inside joke, I'm a real estate broker. And when you look at the real estate industry, we all think, oh, gee, that test, it was really, really hard. And, but I do the high school analogy, and I think back and go, well, who's in real estate? And the real estate people are the like outgoing, but we were primarily the B plus students. The accountants were all the straight A students. And so it's almost like the tests are at different levels. Like, you know, how complex is real estate? It's like, you know, it's up there, it's here. But going through your CPA, it's like a whole different ballpark. You're going up against all these other people that were all straight A students, and you were able to go in and ace it in one shot. I'm impressed. So
Thank you.
Tell us about why you're in business. What's your mission?
Well, I have several reasons why I'm in business, and they range obviously from both professional and personal reasons. As I've mentioned, I want to use my skills to help businesses gain financial clarity and provide a clearer path for them to work towards what they do best, which is their business, while taking care of their bookkeeping and finances. On a personal level, though, I also desire a career that fits into the lifestyle I want. I want to my business to fit into what I want to do versus the other way around. I want to have the freedom to devise my own hours and spend more time with my family, as well as other avenues that I find that would, you know, give me a lot of pleasure. I like traveling and hiking, and just basically spending time with my family. So in order to do that, I need the flexibility of a business that can cater to that kind of lifestyle. And I know that in the beginning, maybe I might put in a little bit more extra work to get to that point, and that's this time. But I have that future vision that what I want in a lifestyle will manifest when I'm putting in the background work as I do right now.
Fantastic. So when did you officially begin your business? What's your start?
I began my business. I launched my business in 2014, actually. But it was more of a side gig while I was working various different jobs.
Okay.
Until December 2019, when I left my corporate job and started full time in my business.
You took the deep breath and took the plunge, right?
Right. I wasn't ready before, but I got to the point where I was.
So just to get an idea of how much you understand your business, can you, I don't know, describe your competitors? Like, do you know who your competitors are?
Yes, I do know my competitors. There are other bookkeeping and accounting services in my locality, and also virtual bookkeeping services, QuickBooks being the largest that I can think about. So I do look at their offerings, and some of them are pretty impressive in the way that they cater to their clients. However, I don't look at it, I try not to focus so much on what they're doing. I focus on continually developing myself and my business so I can offer my services in the best way I can. While I do take what other competitors are doing and keep that in mind, my circumstances are different, and I have the unique skills and talents that other bookkeeping practices might not have. So I choose to focus on that and expand in those ways.
Okay. So right now, you're a company of one, correct?
Correct,
No,
yes.
no employees or anything. So what are your goals in terms of growth? So we talked about your mission, but let's talk about your goals in terms of growth. Where do you think you'll be in the next, 1, 3, 5 years?
Basically, my growth would be laid out in 3 distinct phases in the next 7 years. They are structured in like the phases of stabilize, systematize, and scale. So obviously this year being my first year of devoting full time to my business is a stabilization period where I am stabilizing myself, I'm gaining new ground, I'm entering new territory, getting to know the business, learning so much. So that's to stabilize myself. Later on, as I put more and more systems in place to help me be more efficient, then I'll be able to perform my services in a more efficient and robust manner. And later on, again, as I systematize my whole processes, I'll be able to scale further up from there, and that could probably be hopefully within 2 years. So that's when I probably will be looking for more help in terms of maybe from part-time bookkeepers to help me, or even entry-level college graduates as a start.
Okay. So
And
2
within,
years.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
Yeah, keep going. That's your 2 years, and you mentioned a 7-year goal. So just
Well,
tell us a
that
little bit more about it.
I would look at maybe between the third or the fourth year to the 7th year. That's when I would scale. And given whatever those variables, the external environment, which I wouldn't know right now, I might expand my services to maybe add CFO services, whether delegated to another person or a partner, or do it myself, whatever it may take to scale my business that way. So within these 3 distinct phases are steps and action goals. So they are like the umbrella, but underneath it I have action goals to do with that. And obviously I need to look at it and modify it as things go on. You know, things might happen externally in the next year that I have to revise and stuff. But I believe that if I have that structure in place, I know where I'm going. It's just a matter of putting the smaller pieces, the action steps together to get to where I'm going. So that's basically what I'm looking. It's constant modification, but I do have a sight, the final vision there.
Okay. So how much do you know about certified management accountants?
Well, I actually contemplated taking that certification, but I believe that could help primarily if I'm in the industry itself. It's certainly a very, very valid certification that affords a lot of expertise in being in the role of management accounting.
Yeah, more hands-on.
Hands-on, not so much the financials.
Right. So just correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding, CPA focuses really on the tax side. So it's the end, the end of the year, so to speak, tax filings, whereas the certified management accountant is really in the trenches day to day. Is that a fair comparison?
They both are to a certain extent. Like a management accountant would be involved with working within the organization and providing the financial clarity for management to make a decision to not only perform daily operational, financial strategic decision, but also to leverage them so that they can grow their business and be looked at from the outside as a thriving business. The financial aspect which CPAs are performing are the audits and attestation. Like when I used to work at like a public accounting firm, like I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers way back then. We would go from client to client. Some are large, some are smaller corporations, and perform audit and attestation services. Also compliance audits and other governmental audits. So it's more of an external focus there, where we're helping our clients be able to provide the financial, the financial analysis to other decision makers that they need to get approval maybe from the SEC for public company and such. So I had to choose again, like I said, I was deciding between certifying myself as a CMA or a CPA, but given what my long range vision is, having a CPA credential does help me because it opened up the path for me to get the kind of experience that I got to get to this point. I mean, even if I'm a CMA, doing a bookkeeping practice, you don't really need these credentials. You can thrive with having a robust accounting background and offering business services, bookkeeping services to your clients. This
Okay.
is just an added thing because of experience and exposure that I've had.
Okay. You definitely sound experienced. So do you have an actual written business plan that you refer to?
Yes, I had written a business plan back when I started my business, although it's constantly being revised and modified, especially since I devoted myself full time to my business since December. I've had to look at it and revise and see where my projections are. Like I said, my overall business target or vision does not change. It's just the action plans and the smaller objectives that change depending on circumstances.
Okay. Yeah, I see that what you were just describing is probably the most valuable part of the business plan, because everyone thinks, oh, well, I'm supposed to spend 3 days writing my business plan and then file it away in the corner and never look at it. And the reality is, because like you'll put a business plan together for the SBA and they want the 3, the 5, the 10-year plan. But in the environment that we all live in now, I think it's totally unrealistic to sit there and do a financial projection for 10 years. Like, really? Do you really think
exactly
the environment's going to be even anywhere similar to what it is? I mean, are you going to have a COVID-19 in your business plan? So it's all about writing it and then reviewing it. I think reviewing is the most important piece, because we all have a goal that's way out there in the future somewhere. That's where we want to get, but very few will get there if they don't go back and review their plan and catch themselves. Because if you can catch yourself and go, oh, I was supposed to be here financially now and I'm not, if you catch it after 2 months, you change your plan. You change it a little bit so that you can get back on. So life's not a straight line. It's not a sharp line either. But you can, but it becomes more of a sharp line if the more often that you review that plan, so that the world is going to kind of knock you to the left and you have to realize what happened to knock you to the right so that you stay on the path. So
yes.
Do you see yourself competing on the global market?
Well, I can't really answer that with complete certainty either way, but what I can say now is if my business happens to grow to that level, I will do my best to rise up to the challenge. And also I wanted to add about the business plan. Like you said, with this kind of crisis that comes on, it's difficult to project what originally we might have projected earlier on. But bear in mind also there are a lot of opportunities now that we might not have foreseen earlier on. So when we can tap into the opportunities, like I do a SWOT analysis like every few months, like it's strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So I see what the external environment is, what the competition is, and how I can leverage what I offer in order to compete effectively and still be having that edge where people would rather come to me. So that takes constant monitoring. Like you said, it's not just filing a business plan and that's it. It's kind of like having a business Bible next to you where you constantly look at it and like, well, is this relevant? Is this not? So as far as competing globally, I don't know that. I'm at an early stage in my business. But if the opportunity arises, then yes, I might have to take out that plan again and add estimates, projections, and things like that, because it's not just jumping into it and say, hey, yeah, I'll go global. It's actually looking at my plan. Can I afford to go global? Can I have the capability to do that? What do I need to add to my services? How much marketing do I need people to help me? Do I need expertise? Because I might not know the international laws there. The accounting laws internationally are different than what's being practiced in the United States, which is gap, but internationally I might have to get to know what are the accounting standards and regulations, which are similar and which aren't. So it's a lot of educating myself. So like I said, it's again, revision of the business plan if I want to add that factor. But if I grow to that level, I'm sure I can rise up to the challenge.
Sounds like great advice. So along the same lines, how do you see technology playing a role in the development of your business?
Well, given the crisis recently that we are all in, it has impacted me actually in a positive way, because I am able to connect to my business associates and networking groups even while being at home. And also it gives me more knowledge and capability to learn other more efficient ways to keep my tasks in order, like record keeping, scheduling meetings and such. It has gotten more efficient. So granted, I'm always learning, but there's always avenues of expansion in terms of systemization of my process, so that I become more efficient in order to serve my clients. So I would say mostly has impacted me in a positive way.
Okay. I think we're all experiencing the same thing. So ethical concerns. Tell us about, are there ethical concerns in your type of business?
I would say there are a lot of ethical concerns, but the ones that would be most significant would be pressure to manipulate the numbers due to demands from clients. For example, a client who really wants his financials to look good so that he can obtain a loan from a bank, so he might pressure his accountant to manipulate or misstate the numbers to make him look good. The other one would be confidentiality issues arising from the accountant having that confidential information about the client. And so that's that risk of breach where the data, the information would not be protected properly. So and also there's also conflicts of interest where the accountant would act in promoting her own self-interest versus actually working for the client. It backs the client's interest, yes.
So how do you see yourself overcoming these ethical concerns? How do you think you would deal with it?
Well, as far as, let's say, the manipulation of financial statements, I would, if let's say I have a client that would demand of me manipulating the numbers to make him look good, I would first have a talk with the client, and if he still insists on manipulating the financials, I would sever the ties with him. I would not jeopardize my integrity and reputation, even if the client is a significant client. And as far as using confidential information, to give the client assurance that I would protect his information, I have signed agreements between the person and me that says that I have no intention whatsoever to use his information for other purposes other than rendering the services that I'm offering to him. So there are guards in place where I can make sure that this is clearly communicated in the beginning. It's all about communication in the beginning, I believe. And if that's a clear and direct communication and good understanding, I'm sure it'll go smooth. Like, I would not take on a client that on the onset seems very bent on making his financials look good, because that's like a flag to me. Like,
we'll use a simple word. We'll just say sketchy.
Sketchy, yes. Well, maybe not necessarily, but I could sense that the person has this tendency to want to look good because of a certain overriding factor. Maybe he's trying to get a loan or some other things, circumstances in his decisions that would make him lean that way. So they're flags that I can catch in the beginning. So.
Okay. So what do you see as the biggest issues that you face running your own business? Are there any hurdles or obstacles you got to overcome?
Well, right now, because I'm a one-person business, I'm running everything from soup to nuts. I'm the owner. I do the marketing, sales, finances, operational tasks, and client delivery. It's more to do with structuring my time. Time management and focus is huge as something that can guide me in be able to structure my time effectively so that I can move on to the next phase, and while doing it in the best way I can. So that's actually my challenge right now. As I grow, obviously, I might need to add on extra help to help me to get to another level where I can focus on building or scaling my business. So at each level, there's different, I'm sure, different challenges. But with that, it gives me opportunity to learn more about my business and how I can grow it.
I see. So we've talked about it a lot, but let's see if we can kind of just focus it down, boil it down to your products and services. What services exactly do you offer your clients?
I offer primarily monthly bookkeeping services for the small business, also sales tax filings for the businesses that do sales tax filing, accounting and financial statement analysis as needed, and QuickBooks online training and setup, and also some, on a lesser scale, some various business startup filings, formation filings, and so forth.
Okay. So how do you advertise your business?
Various ways, online marketing, word of mouth, marketing, networking events, being an active participant in those networking groups. I actually prefer to connect to potential clients face-to-face or in person versus online. However, given the current crisis that we have, I've worked a little bit more to boost up my online presence while also connecting with potential clients face-to-face through online meetings and so forth. So I'm kind of like transitioning myself from being out there like 3 months ago, really out there meeting people, getting to know them, connecting with them. I'm transitioning to an online presence. And when we get out again, when we're able to go out there and meet, I'll still, work on both levels.
Okay, good answer. Where was I going to go from here? Professional help. So you're an accountant. A lot of people turn to you when they're starting out. You're starting out as an accountant. Do you have a team of professionals that you rely on? Business coach, marketing, an attorney? Who's your team? Or what's your team?
I believe that any business that starts out have to have and needs an advisory team made up of an attorney, broker, insurance agent, another CPA. For me, because I'm a CPA, I do need another CPA maybe to give me some kind of a sounding board, or even as a mentor, somebody who's have more expertise than I am. So every business would need that. And yes, I do have a team that I collaborate with sometimes if I have questions. Some that I would go to easily and be accessible.
Okay. So I know you're not quite there yet, but what would you look for in an employee in terms of, I don't know, their overall desirability as an employee for you?
Probably to hone it down to 3 things. I call it the 3 C's: courage, commitment, and connection. Courage to get to where they want to get despite whatever circumstances, and it takes a lot of courage to go the extra line. Commitment is being committed to go to go towards their goals, backed by the desire to succeed. And it's that ironclad commitment that no matter what setbacks, they're going to get up and still get going. And lastly, and maybe even most importantly, is connection, where I'm in a service business. I'm servicing clients. I need someone who works with me that can also learn how to connect, how to communicate, because it's not just giving financial reports and performing bookkeeping. It's connecting with the clients. What do they want? What do they long for in their business? What are their pain points? What keep them up at night? All these needs robust communication skills. And people say accountants can't connect. That's far from the truth. We need to connect all the time. We need to know we need to intimately know how you feel about your business and what your desires are, how do you want to grow it. So in order to know all that, you have to connect authentically with your clients. And it's actually emotional intelligence, right? To connect is part of emotional intelligence. So I'm looking for, you would say, is the intangible qualities, but those could actually make or break a business more than the technical aspects. I can get any actual entry-level graduate to perform the books, but do they have the other skills in order to sustain and grow the business with me? So that's what I'm looking for.
Courage, commitment, and connection. Everybody write that down. I may start a sideline business that just does motivational plaques that say courage, commitment, and connection. Where'd you learn that?
Well, from trial and error, myself having to develop those things in myself. But when you're starting out on your own, or you're looking for an employee or someone to help you, there's so many attributes you can list. But if you can hone it down, if I were to hone it down, it always comes down to the soft skills. Because like I say, there's so many people out there with the technical skills. But can they learn to use the technical skills to benefit others? That's really the big factor there. And in order to do that, they need the emotional intelligence. I call this emotional intelligence. You have to have courage, commitment, and connection. They don't really teach that in schools. So
can I put those 3 words on my career page without getting sued?
sure, no problem.
Awesome. I'll give you a little bonus point on the side. So what type of business format do you use? Sole proprietor, corporation, LLC?
I'm a single member LLC right now.
Okay. That's probably the most common form. Although I suppose sole proprietorship from a sheer volume is probably still more popular. But I think in terms of the businesses that are around for 5 years or more, the LLC is probably the most common for small business.
Right.
What do you see as the advantages of operating an LLC versus a sole proprietorship or, a C Corp or an S Corp?
Well, LLC are considered separate entities because how liabilities are treated. LLCs protect the owner's personal assets from being seized in order to pay for business debts. So that's the largest advantage. And also, being an LLC, you could pass on your ownership and easy to add on other people. Like later on, if I want to add another member, I can easily open it to others. We could also translate to being an S corporation or a C corporation, although it depends on how the business unfolds later on. But I would say the biggest advantage is having it as a separate entity where it doesn't have to mingle with your personal assets.
Okay. So what happens to your business if something happens to you?
Good question. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm developing succession planning, although that's definitely on my to-do list. Being at the early stage right now, I still think that I need to start developing it. I would think if and when I do that, it would obviously incorporate my life right now, where I can possibly pass on my business to my children. So that's my target right now. I need to kind of go over the details and develop the plan, but that would be my mindset.
Okay. I I knew this person that used to on their bio, it used to say something like, staying in the moment. It's a little ethereal, but you know what? It's actually a fantastic business concept for the business just starting. It's actually a fantastic business concept for any business, but it's probably even more important when you're just starting out because it's it's this moment in time that is the most important part. Every decision that you make today should be based on what will benefit the business the most today. And don't really worry so much. Yes, you should review your 5 and 10-year business plan, but if you're not focused on how you're going to get from day 1 to day 2, you're most
Exactly.
likely going to be out of business in a very short matter of time.
Right. And you know what helps with being in the moment, as you say, is that if you know what your values and your principles are, what your vision for your future, it's so much easier to be in the moment. Because if you've developed a core set of principles or values that you go by, like you know that there's certain things that you commit to every day. I actually have um, statements, that affirmations that I read in the morning and night about, like, I would deliver my best, or in all aspects, like responsibility or commitment, or just relationship building, things like that, that I commit to by saying to myself every day. So once I have that, then it's easier to be in the moment, because when things come at me in the moment, I already know, I already come prepared. I don't scramble like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, granted, we all get that. I get there too. But if I have that core principles, I can always say, well, because of my principles that I have, I can respond to the moment in the best way I can already. I've done the groundwork. I mean, I am doing the groundwork every day. It's more about preparation, mental, emotional, and spiritual preparation you have every day, so that when things come at you, you're prepared and be able to enjoy the moment as well. So it's like a little bit of both, I would think. You don't just be in a moment and then get overwhelmed. You're be in a moment while also be able to relate to the experience when it comes, if it comes.
It's almost like you
Which
just
does,
described first kiss.
um, well, maybe, but I follow a lot of John Maxwell's leadership principles, and he has said that one of the principles that he have used throughout his career is knowing himself, knowing his vision, and being, like I said, being prepared, just knowing what he stands for, so that when the moment comes, whatever it is, he's prepared. He goes with the moment because he's prepared.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what do you see as the future for your type of business? Not necessarily your business, but your industry as a whole. What do you see coming down the pipeline?
I see positive growth because businesses are having to, if they were having to hire accountants, which is in short supply right now, they have to pay higher salaries. So instead of doing that, outsourcing bookkeeping and accounting needs might be a more feasible way. Also, cloud-based accounting systems have made bookkeeping tasks a lot easier to do, more efficient, so that more accessible and more user-friendly. So outsourcing bookkeeping tasks to a team of people that can take it off their plate, it's a whole lot more efficient than having an in-house accountant, a bookkeeper, that they have to navigate payroll costs and having an employee and all the associated costs to do with that. Plus having a team of professionals that are helping a business as an outsource, um, they can have that expertise already taken. They don't have to train, because that team of professionals, like me or my team, can actually perform the bookkeeping without them having to think about training an employee. So it's ramifications, positive ramifications all around. I just see good growth from this.
Yeah, I see it becoming extremely important because I'm sure everyone's noticed this whole COVID thing. is a giant turning point, I think, in our history, because we're really learning that, you know what, the world actually keeps turning if you don't go to work. There's so much that you can do, because you go back 10 years ago, that was our last shift. And it really kind of revolves around 9/11 in the advent of high-speed internet. It kind of happened simultaneously. And at the time, I was a waterfront specialist in the Brookfield, around the Candlewood Lake area. So most of my clients would come up looking for weekend homes. They would live in Manhattan. They'd have $1 million bonuses, and they'd want to pay cash for a weekend place.
Nice.
And, you know, it's starting in 96, we have the internet, but it's dial up. It's kind of laggy. 2001, we started getting high-speed technology, so that when 9/11 happened, I literally had 3 generations of families in my office saying, get us out. We're not looking for a weekend home anymore. We just want to get the hell out of Manhattan, and we want to live up there. And I'm still going to make money in my $1 million bonus, but 4 days a week, I'm working in New Milford or Sherman at my home office, and I'm driving or taking the train in once a week, and that's all I got to do. And that was a giant shift. But now that we have high-speed internet, now we've got all these other little tools like Zoom that we're using now. And I just see, probably should have bought this stock a couple of weeks ago, because it's a giant shift in technology. And I think the demand for the accounting services is going to go through the roof, because I just see a giant shift in the way the world lives and the way the world works. I see a giant increase in new businesses coming up, small businesses coming up, because they lost their factory job and now they've got to figure out how to do something else. I've got a friend, Jerry, that I sold a multifamily to last year, and he's, you know, worked as a machinist all his life, but he's got a little warehouse in his new house. And when he got laid off with the COVID, he got laid off just before. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to open up my own shop. So now he's setting up and getting ready to ship stuff all over the place. So
exactly. It's
yeah.
rolling in with, like I say, rolling in with the opportunities and going with it, revising as needed, but being able to take on the challenges as they come. That's key in this economy, and what's going on in the current crisis. Like you said, a lot of small businesses are coming on right now because they've had to, they had to leave the previous employment maybe to be able to sustain their income. So that's where outsourced bookkeeping might come in handy, because in the beginning they might just have so much to do in order to set up a business, and the last thing they need is to look into their bookkeeping and finances. So I just see potentially good growth in the near future even.
Yeah, I think it comes down to one catchphrase that they've been using nowadays, and it's side gig.
Correct.
So everybody had their side gig, and now when their day job said, "Hey, go home, we don't need you," that side gig becomes their bread and butter. And you spend a little time promoting that side gig, and for a lot of us, you can figure out how to make more money than you were making before. So I'm a real estate broker, but I've worked as a marketing consultant for many years. I said, okay, we've got this little downtime where it's really not convenient to show people houses. Sure, we still have virtual tours. We can get them closer. You can, move the process along. But the reality is nobody's buying a house statistically based on a virtual walkthrough. They want to see, touch, feel, all of that. It's their home. It's a big deal. So we can use the technology to get us closer, but we have to figure out how are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to eat? How are we going to live now? And for me, it was reopening the marketing business and providing marketing services for small businesses. And so I didn't want to get sidetracked. So I said, you know what, I'm going to use my real estate website as the basis for my marketing. I'll allow people to advertise on the website. So I'm increasing the revenue. I'm creating a new stream of revenue that comes in beyond real estate closings, and it actually may become more reliable than the real estate closing. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Good for you. That shows your versatility in kind of rolling in with the punches, because you're already prepared. You have set yourself up with the multiple sources of revenue there. And that's what really we have to get to, multiple sources of income now. You can't just get by these days with a traditional employer-derived kind of earnings. You have to
Right.
kind of be flexible and see even people who have stable jobs through this hour, which is great, but have to start kind of thinking and envisioning, like, what else can we do to create that stream? That's the world we live in. Maybe it's unfortunate, but that's what we have to do to create that multiple sources of income, where no matter what happens to one source of income, hey, you have this other thing going. You can, like what I was doing typically in 2014, I set my business up, but I was using it as side gig. Plus, personally, I wasn't ready. It takes a lot of, it's not just putting the external factors, setting the business, filing the papers. It's not just that. It's mentally and psychologically, I was not ready. It took me that long to get to last year when I was finally mentally, psychologically ready to do what I'm doing. While my business has been running, I did have maybe 1 or 2 clients while I was working a full-time job. But like I said, the biggest thing is the mental clarity and being ready for the challenges that you're facing. And why not start from, you could start small, and then later on, as time goes along, you could kind of modify yourself. But like what you were saying about your business, you already have things set up, so you're able to, what do you call it, roll in with the punches, right? You're able to
Exactly.
like get up and go when this offers themselves, the people come to you and say that they want to get out of their homes. You're already able to offer them the service they need because you're prepared for that. It's all
Correct. So
preparation and being able to leverage yourself in many, many ways other than just one way.
I see it important to be able to start where you are with what you have and go.
Correct.
And like, real estate is my life, okay? So the advertising, it's a piece of the real estate, but I found it important that I make a decision to do something that's going to complement my main business. So by selling advertising on the real estate website, I'm actually building traction. I'm building relationships with other businesses. I'm getting more eyeballs to my website, and I'm creating an additional revenue stream. So I'm not
Correct.
pulled in opposite directions going, okay, well, I've got a job at Walmart over here, and I'm working 40 hours a week, and then I'm trying to sell real estate over here, and it's 2 different worlds. It's difficult to make that change. So if you can find things that are complementary, I think it just gives you a better chance of success.
And being willing to change too. Maybe you might need to drop one of them to devote more time to the other. Is where your passions lie. Where are your interests? Maybe 5 years before this other thing works for you, but now it doesn't. You might want to just drop that path and go on to the next one. It's evolving,
Yeah, it's picking and choosing, because I just got my life insurance license, and I got the business up and running kind of simultaneously. Like, got it up. Same thing with the art gallery. Boom, it started, and then this happened. Like, so you got to pick and choose what's going to pay the bills this week. So I just started in life insurance, didn't let it go, still got the license, still running the company. But the realization is today, pushing the marketing business is going to ensure that the overall corporation stays alive. So COVID, it's a bump in the road, and I see life insurance becoming an even bigger part of people's lives. It's going to be much more tangible because, to be honest, 3 months ago, people didn't have the sense of mortality that they have today. Our outlook as a world has changed. And being able to have an investment that keeps building and growing, and it's there for you in good times and bad, and you can borrow against it without having tax ramifications, is going to be huge. So I just threw it on the corner. We'll see you in a month.
There you go. So you're able to take the opportunity because you already set yourself that way.
Correct.
That's great.
Just keep building it, building the team. So what kind of advice do you have for anybody starting out in the accounting business?
Well, the technical skills obviously is important. You have to have the basics, but like I mentioned before, it's more to do with what they bring to the table in terms of who they are. So like you have to know who you are and your values, your priorities, things that are not dictated by others, but knowing who you are. And then what you want in life. What are your passions? What do you want to pursue? What do you want to be successful in? And don't let anyone stop you from pursuing it. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not easy doing that because it requires a lot of self-growth. But that's the maturity you need to bring to the business. Like I said, technical skills is easily obtainable. You know, someone who's committed can go to school, get a degree or whatever it may take. But what they do after that is the self-growth that's required to be a fully mature business owner or working in a business.
Fantastic. Well, Suriani, thank you so much for talking with us and letting us learn a little bit more about you. I think we've been talking for an hour. You were afraid that we'd run out of things to say, and I'm sure we could keep going for another hour. But I think we'll wrap it up. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about you and what you do?
I am very excited about where I'm going with my business. I have plans and visions and goals that would not only use my talents and skills to service others, but would fit into the lifestyle I desire. And more so than, let's say, 5 years ago, I've grown so much in order to get where I am right now. And I believe that when I meet a client and the client sees my commitment as, you know, the person that I am, what I bring to the table, I know that we'll see that the trust will be built very quickly from there. So that's really what it is. I'm bringing all of me to the table, and yeah, that's the way to go with any kind of business to be successful. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my business in this interview. I've learned so much just sitting here answering your question. It helps me really realize and refine what my business is about and my values and my goals, and learn quite a bit more about myself as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And look at that. You actually answered my last question, and I didn't have to ask it, which was going to be, what did you learn? So thank you so much. We will post this on the Connecticut Business Network, and then we'll just run it everywhere, YouTube, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Before we go, just tell us one more time your name, web or Facebook page, and your phone number, and then we'll hang it up.
Sure. My name is Suriani Hostetler. My business is Sharpline Accounting Services, LLC. You can reach me at Suriani@sharplineacc.com. I'll spell it. It's Suriani is spelled SURIANI at sharplineacc.com, which is SHARPLINEACC.com. Suriani@sharplineacc.com. And I have a Facebook business page up under Sharpline Accounting Services, LLC. I am in the process of building a website that's going to be launched pretty soon. So that's coming up as well. And if you Google me, I'm on Google My Business as well. But I would say for right now, my most direct contact would be my email, Suriani@sharplineecc.com, or my number 203-918-8875.
Fantastic. You have a great day, Suriani. Take care.
Thank you, Steve. Take care.
Bye.